Hey there, and welcome to the podcast Tiling Connect, hosted by Mark Moskwa. This show is designed to connect people with the best information intended to strengthen the business of tiling. To keep up to date with all the episodes, don't forget to subscribe.
Today's episode is brought to you by RLA Polymers and Gripset. For peace of mind when waterproofing, trust Gripset's 38FC, the king of membranes. 38FC has been the industry benchmark for years and is rigorously tested internally and through certified NADA laboratories, giving you verified peace of mind. Developed alongside contractors, 38FC has confirmed coverage of 10 square metres per pale and adheres to AS 4858 and AS 4654 compliance. With a quick 1 hour recode time, you can get the job done in record speed without compromising on quality. Don't fall for the copycat products. Trust Gripset's 38FC, the king of membranes. G'day everybody, Mark here from Tiling Connect. Welcome back to the program. Pretty excited today. We've got another company returning to the show who we had one of their past colleagues on quite some time ago, but there have been some pretty incredible updates about how they've been operating in the overseas market and also here in Australia. So I'm really happy and excited to introduce Ben Quinn from Roomvo, who is based all the way in Toronto, Canada. Ben, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mark. Quite excited to be here.
Awesome, mate. Well, thanks for sharing some time and coming back and giving us a more detailed update on what's happening with Roomvo. But I think the best place to start, obviously, is for us to go back to the beginning. I think because if you could reintroduce Roomvo and explain how it operates and how it helps homeowners, tilers, the industry, professionals visualize flooring and that sort of thing.
So I think the easiest way to do it is I'm going to share a little anecdote of myself. And one of the first tiling jobs I did personally, I had to go to a tiling store and pick out 3 different tiles. I was doing a bathroom, so floors, walls, and there's something else in there as well. Or the floors, walls, and the shower floor. And I spent 6 hours in the tiling store, and I ended up walking out with absolutely nothing. I could not picture what the tiles were going to look like when they all came together. Fast forward about a year, stumbled on this company called Roomvo, and that's exactly what they do. Is they are a point of sales tool that retailers, industry professionals, really anyone, homeowners, home buyers, can use to see what those tiles can look like in their home or in their space before they actually go through the renovation. So it kind of takes almost all the guesswork out of the process. And they do it in quite a granular and detailed way because they're allowing the user to not only look at the color and the shade, but also the orientation of the tiles, the grout matching, any other configurations that you might want to do. And they're able to kind of compare what the current state is, what that tile would look like, and they're able to instantaneously swap out tiles to see what alternatives could look like and how the whole room will come together. I hope that reminds your listeners of kind of what Roomvo is. It's a point of sales tool, and it's to help people make the right choices on the tiles.
Awesome. So it's like, in a way, it's a digital visualizer that you can see tiles in a program before you make the choice, make a final selection, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. That's wow. You kind of nailed it. So it kind of brings those tiles to life because you can imagine looking at one tile in the space and throwing it in there. You need a certain type of person or the ability to imagine or visualize what the impact of that's going to be on the entire space. And not everyone has that. That's kind of where this software comes in, allows tile manufacturers, tiling dealers, tiling professionals, and home decor professionals and stakeholders right across the board to be able to have their products brought to life in these reno projects before the reno happens.
Yeah, that's really awesome. And you mentioned reno, and obviously we have a massive renovation market here as well. And we were just talking about the block before we pressed record. And from your perspective, and I'm trying to draw some similarities here between Canada and Australia in terms of how the markets perform. What sort of percentage of people in Canada do renovations versus leaving it up to like a designer or an architect to do all of that sort of work? Is the renovation market very big there?
The renovation market is a decent size, and it's definitely increased since COVID. There was kind of the obvious rush that I assumed it must have been replicated to a degree in Australia, where everybody was sitting around home, kind of looking around, looking for stuff to do. So they started taking on more and more renovation projects. We saw a lot of the cost of materials go up, so the investment that people were making in those materials, they want to make the right ones, definitely increased. And they were looking for tools at the same time to help them do that process. I don't have an exact number of percentage. I think it would be quite dependent on the type of homeowner that you're looking at to do the project. And by that I mean, where are they in their home ownership kind of journey? Are they a brand new homeowner, or are they a kind of a seasoned, experienced veteran? Are they 20, 30 years into the process? They might be quite happy. So the frequency with which they're doing projects and doing projects themselves may be less. What we do know is that about 12 months after, in North America, about 12 months after a homeowner buys a home, approximately 60% of homeowners are going to take on some sort of renovation, 60 to 70%. So there's a big chunk of the market that's going to be looking to do a renovation right after they purchase a home.
That's a huge number. And I imagine having some sort of digital visualiser at your fingertips to be able to build the plan before you go shopping is going to save you an incredible amount of time, right? Otherwise, I imagine that you are literally, like when I started working in the tiling industry in the early 2000s, you would potentially travel to maybe 4, 5 or 6 or 7 shops to get an idea on what colours you wanted to select, what size you wanted to select. Then you couple that with customer service and pricing and availability. It becomes a real sort of 1 day, 2 day, maybe even 7 day shopping experience to try and work it all out.
I mean, 7 days would be short. That'd be a quick turnaround. What we're seeing is the buying cycle for these types of products, home decor products, especially ones that are installed, happens over weeks or months. So that sounds like a really tough week, what you just described. But you can imagine that as you're going through the home buying journey, that also is quite a long process. And a lot of the decisions and impressions and kind of thoughts on what tiles you might like or what pieces of home decor you might like can start during that process. So you can take that process and, roll it into the home buying journey and have that included in the process of selecting home. You're also selecting which tiles you like and which tiles you don't like. And so when you finally get down to that point where you are going to execute on purchasing some materials, some tiles, hopefully you should be able to have a good idea of what you're looking for. And you kind of know where it's available and where you should be going to look for it.
Yeah, nice. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the visualiser. I mean, it obviously has some impressive features. I'm looking at it thinking grout colour, orientation, tile patterns, filters. There's a whole myriad of things that it can do. Can you sort of just walk us through, the tool and the design process, and make it, how it makes it easier, more accurate for homeowners and contractors?
Yeah. So what Roomvo does is it allows any user to upload a photo. So that's kind of our bread and butter solution for tiling manufacturers, tiling retailers, and professionals. Anyone can take a photo, whether they already have it on their phone or they're standing in a space or they're in the store and they'd like to upload something. So they can take a photo, and what we're going to do is we're going to scan that photo. If we can, we're going to identify the room type. If there's no fixtures in there, we don't know it's a bathroom. But if there's stuff like that in there, we can identify that, and then we'll figure out the dimensions of the room so we can get a scale of the room. And once we have that, we're going to allow the user over on the left-hand side of the screen, or on the bottom if they're on mobile, they're going to be able to start selecting the tile that they'd like to see in the space. And you're going to probably ask here, how do we know where the tile is going to show up? We don't want it necessarily showing up on the ceilings. The user is actually able to select which walls they'd like it on, which floor they'd like it on. So we actually identify all those different parts of the photo that's uploaded as we scan it, and allow the user to pick and choose. So they can have one tile on one wall, a different tile on the floor, and a completely different tile on the ceiling, if that's what they're going for. So they're able to place those tiles in the space initially. Once they have the tiles there and they get the right color and the shades they're thinking they'd like, they're able to start changing the configuration or the patterns of the space of the tiles. They can do that with a quick tool down on the bottom. They can rotate the tiles or offset them accordingly, and then they're able to start picking the grout line, the grout colors or grout products that they'd like. And depending on the manufacturer and which manufacturers are participating, some of these tiles will be available, some of these grouts will be available, and it all depends on the manufacturer and what they supply. But they're real products, and they're the ones paying for the service. So we're very incentivized and aligned to make sure that their products are represented as accurately as possible in that space. So we take great efforts to make sure that it's as accurate as possible, considering things like the light, shadows, etc.
Yeah, wow. So it sounds really comprehensive. So I have some questions from that. If I jumped off this podcast episode right now today, how do I get access to the program? Because I'm keen to actually take a picture of my room. I only have a rental, but I'm keen to actually have a bit of a go. So if someone's listening to this, how do they get access to it?
So we're actually partnered with Real Estate Australia. And in Real Estate Australia, realestateaustralia.com.au, once you have an account, you can actually go in and you can claim a property as your own. And once you claim that property, you're able to upload photos. So you can take any photo you'd like, you can have them added, and you can start testing it out. That's one way. That's the way that I'm responsible for focusing on bringing this software and this technology for our customers, our kind of tile manufacturers, dealers, bring the software into the real estate industry. The other way is to go to tiling stores, retailers, manufacturers. In certain stores, we have displays available so that when you're in the store, you can just add it to there, add your photo there, and you can start testing out what products are available and in the store. You can see those. Otherwise, you can go on the retailer's site or the manufacturer's website and see them there.
Yeah, right.
And there's a button down once you go to the actual tile page. There's a button. Typically, it says "See this in my room." You'll click that, and that'll launch our experience. Once you're in there, It's very intuitive. We put a lot of effort into the user experience, making sure that it's an intuitive and easy to use tool.
Yeah, look, it's really interesting. I've had firsthand experience with digital visualisers a long time ago with one of the major competitors to, I think, so Beaumont Tiles is the one that has, in Australia, that has the Roomvo product. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I worked for one of the major competitors to Beaumont's National Tiles, and we had a visualiser back, and I'm talking 2013. So this is some time ago, and it was back then. It was state of the art, cutting all of the tech boundaries. It did a great job, and I think I'm not sure where it ended up, but I do know that the Australian culture back then, and I'm not as connected to it as much today, we're very much a touch and feel society. So there has been this massive drive digitally, and we're seeing more and more tile businesses pop up online every day. And then we'll have some online retailers in Sydney and that doing it particularly well. But we still do have a great proportion of the market that love to go out and actually touch and feel a tile because they want to feel the texture of the tile surface. They want to have a look at the shape of the tile. They want that shopping experience. So I think as we sort of get deeper and deeper into the sort of AI and real techie side of the next generation of what we're about to embark on, these sort of programs are really going to explode.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm personally, I kind of, I like what you're saying, in terms of wanting to be able to touch and feel the product. This type of technology, I think, gets you 99% of the way. But
yeah,
that when that tiling shows up, when that material shows up, you're going to want to make sure it's exactly what you want. You're going to want to pull it out and touch and feel the texture, see how it's going to lay, or have a quick little look at it. But there is a huge chunk of the decision-making process that Roomvo is able to help with and get done. It is for those that aren't in the industry and aren't making these types of decisions on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's quite an intimidating decision to make, because it's not a small one either. It's quite expensive, oftentimes. So it's something you want to make well.
100%. And I think and to that point, I think it's a great opportunity to, sit down if you're either renovating or contemplating buying, a new home, buying a home, and there is a renovation involved in that process. What better time than on a Friday afternoon to sit down with a nice glass of red with your partner and, get the program out and, choose some tiles, and you can have that done potentially in a couple of hours before you start to get out on the road and do shopping for the weekend.
Well, it's a fun shopping experience too. Exactly to your point. You're sitting down, you're looking at a house that you're considering maybe putting an offer in, and you want to start exploring the potential of what you might be able to do with that. So you can start trying out tiles, and you can start trying out different configurations. You can start trying out different products, see what they're going to look like, what the impact is, whether, maybe the house you're looking at has dark walls. Maybe look for a light tile, something to highlight that or contrast that. But this allows you to start understanding what options are out there and start the shopping process. Because although you may not actually decide to transact on that home, you very well could have stumbled on a tile configuration, or maybe a tile type, a tile shape that you're particularly, finger tiles that you're particularly interested in, and you like how they look in a bathroom. Then that might be something that you kind of carry forward with you onto the next home that you're considering. Maybe you'll kind of always know that there's that potential. Like, well, I like the finger tiles, and that I like the green finger tiles in that first home that I was looking at, but I wasn't able to close on the house. How would they look? How can I do that in the next home? And so that decision, that renovation decision is already made in that user's, in that home buyer's mind. They're looking for the home. They want to see what that product can look like in that home. So those products can carry between homes and go through those weeks, months, hopefully not years, of the home buying journey. And hopefully, like I mentioned, once they transact on the home, that material selection process is much faster.
Awesome. Ben, tell me, from a tiler's perspective, what are the key benefits of clients coming in with Roomvo generated designs, and does it make communication and the execution smoother?
I can't see how it doesn't. It doesn't make things smoother. There's only so much that can be communicated verbally, and not everybody has the same ability and the same ability to imagine or visualize what a tile is going to look like. I would expect a tiler to be able to look at a tile and instantly know what it's going to look like in the entire space, and know the impact of the different grouts that can be selected, and what's going to look good and what's going to look bad. But the typical homeowner that may be looking to make a decision or do a renovation, they're not going to have those skills. And for that reason, this tool kind of puts the decision-making process in their hands and allows them to play with different possibilities at really no cost to them or the tiler. There's no time that the tiler has to invest in this. Maybe a few discussions back and forth, maybe a recommendation on a different tile type or a different configuration. But it allows the homeowner to really take control of the design of the space. And then once they are happy with what they're seeing, then they can kind of come to the tiler and say, this is exactly what I want. You're not going to be laying tiles and then pulling them back up again. This is what I want. This is going to be done once and we're going to be happy with it. So it really allows them to kind of be sure of their decision before they start anything.
Yeah, and that's you've touched on a really critically important point, which is knowing from the very beginning of the installation process exactly what floor tile, what wall tile, where is it going, how is it being laid, are there any types of features to be created. You can literally put all that down in a visual concept so that it's as clear as day and there's no guesswork.
Yeah. And within the visualizer, the user is actually able to, once they've made their product selections, the specific tiles they'd like, and they've made their orientation selections, their pattern selections, and they've made their grid selections, they can actually download that in a PDF, have the visual for them, as well as the product details underneath on a second page. And it's almost like a purchase order that they can hand over to their tiler and say, look, this is exactly what I want. There's no guesswork here. This is what I'm looking for. Yeah. If they're not at the quoting point, if they're not at the point of quoting, then they can use that to provide a much more kind of reliable quote based on an agreed upon visual. And if not, if they're already past that, then they kind of know where they're going to go with it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think from a multicultural perspective as well, and I'm sure Canada is not much different to Australia, we have a very significant migrant population, coming into the and this is not a new thing, right? This has been going on for centuries, where we've got people of all different backgrounds and skills and capabilities, and not everyone can speak English, and that's okay. That's just the world we live in, and to be able to visualize it, can potentially minimize a lot of that angst and or incorrect installation of tiles too. So it's got a multifaceted way of fixing and bridging a lot of communication issues.
It's very true. I didn't necessarily consider that, but a picture's worth 1,000 words in every language. Yeah. So it really kind of helps you out no matter what.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, mate, that's great. Let's talk about, and I know there's some differences in language and lingo between Canada and Australia, but we'll try and bridge the gap. I know that we talk about real estate agents' toolkits. We obviously have real estate agents here as well. We probably don't refer to them as having a toolkit as much, but are you seeing there that they're using Roomvo as a sort of in listing presentations or during shows? Are they presenting this as a product as a part of the package? Yeah.
They're using this as a tool as they're going through and making their presentation for that package, as well as when they're working with a buyer. So when somebody wants to sell a home in North America, they'll work with their agent, and their agent may often try and incentivize them or kind of push them to make certain renovations, change things. And oftentimes the homeowner isn't too keen on that. They don't necessarily believe that the agent knows or that it's worth it. And so in listing presentations, this is kind of included as, maybe we should do these renovations in order before we list, and that will help increase the price. So in listing presentations, Roomvo is used to say, maybe we should change the flooring. Maybe we should pull up this carpet. Maybe we should expose the tile. Maybe we should paint the walls. And so in that sense, the real estate agents are using it as a tool to help kind of communicate with their selling client what the impact of a renovation would be before they actually list the property. And it's been quite effective in allowing agents to successfully have some of those minor renovations done. And then the second, which it was it was quite exciting to see that and get that feedback. That it's really like, it's that communication thing, allowing them to communicate in a visual way with their clients and kind of move that process along. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of back and forth. Things would get delayed. They might not be aligned on exactly what needs to be changed or what it needs to be changed to. So again, the visual allows them to communicate, and it works really well. The other area that agents are using it in is when they're working with a buying client, and they have a client who is looking for a home. They'll come into the home, but the client won't be able to see beyond one aspect of the home. Maybe they can't see beyond the brown walls or the bright pink ceilings. They get hung up on that, and it really impacts their impression of the home, and they're not necessarily liking it too much. Agents are able to, with this tool, take a picture as they're standing there with their client in real time and show them what it would look like if they were to change certain things in the home, whether it be a wall, a countertop, a tiled floor to another tiled floor, a tiled floor to some other flooring to tiled floor. It allows them to work through those possibilities in real time and have their client begin to engage and really kind of get emotionally invested in the home in a different way. And they start having different conversations. And they aren't limited by what's immediately in front of them. They're able to kind of talk more about the possibility of how this listing or this property can become their home.
A quick word from our sponsor. Partner with Gripset and become one of Australia's leading waterproofers. Waterproofing is one of the most in-demand trades. With Gripset's accredited practitioner program, GAP, you'll be trained and certified in just 3 days. Backed by Australia's leading waterproofing supplies manufacturer and run by trainers with over 20 years of experience within the industry, GAP gives you a wealth of knowledge. Learn how to identify and prevent dampness and water damage in both residential and commercial structures by exploring the current Australian waterproofing standards, correct preparation of substrates for waterproofing, and how to apply both sheet and liquid membranes with a particular focus on the trickier areas such as joints and penetrations. Upon completion, you will be a fully accredited GAP applicator and will be able to access exclusive benefits and free business advertising to expand your clientele. Spots are filling up fast. Upskill today. Visit gripset.com/gap. That's gripset.com/gap, where great applicators get even better. Touching on what you mentioned about getting an emotional buy-in for buying property, I think that's really important. There is obviously in Australia we have an incredible lack of property to buy, and we have an over-exaggeration of house prices and unit prices in Australia. It's becoming more and more unaffordable by the day for a lot of younger people that don't have the incomes to be able to take out loans. And I think if we can get, with this sort of program, if you can start to focus more on the value side of buying a property and the emotional impact, there is always going to be a price barrier that you have to overcome, no matter what. It's probably crazier today than it ever has been before. We've seen prices spike the last few years, probably ever since COVID happened. And but yeah, making the relevant point to getting into that emotional factor and looking at what bathrooms are going to look like. And I imagine, kitchen splashbacks could be the same. Again, taking a picture of a room and actually getting people to, fall in love, visually fall in love with the property would definitely assist, that buying process.
Well, and you're kind of nailing it on the head. It's a global it's a global challenge where home prices are high, and people that are moving into homes aren't necessarily getting exactly what they want. They're not, they're priced out of exactly what they want sometimes. So they're unavoidably going to have to undertake some sort of renovation. And having a tool like this allows them to start imagining what the impact of those renovations could be and see beyond, again, what's right in front of them, so they can start to play around with that process and those homes that may need a bit of work, may need a little bit of love, and may need to get their hands a bit dirty to make it their home. But this makes it quite easy for them to be able to see exactly what they need to do in order to have that.
Yeah, exactly. I like it. So if I'm a tiling retailer, or I own a retail store that has some sort of tile, display in it, can anybody get introduced to Roomvo? Can any business have Roomvo in their store or a digital visualizer so that they can start to target particular clients or clientele? And is there any sort of flexibility in that, or was Roomvo got the relationship with Beaumont's and that's where it sort of starts, stops, and finishes?
No, this is actually what I'm most excited about. Look, real estate is a global industry, but it is hyper regional. What's important in Sydney is completely different than what's relevant, and in a home decor sense, what's important in Sydney is completely different than what's relevant in Victoria. Yeah. And so those are two very different style markets. So the regional aspect of real estate is incredibly important. And so for that reason, we want to work with all retailers, all suppliers in each region to have their products featured in a way that's regionally relevant to the homes that they're going to be installed in. There are obvious exceptions to that. People will often, source certain materials from different regions to bring to a specific one. But generally speaking, there's some predominant trends within each region. And so within real estate, we want to work with the small mom and pop retailers as much as we want to work with the large international suppliers. We want those products to be regionally relevant to the home buyer, so that they can not only see the decor trends that are consistent within their market or within their region, but that they can also turn around and actually go purchase that tile from the store down the street, from the retailer, a few blocks away. So having them, having all different types of product partners, as we call them, having all different types is quite important.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. And I'm sure that we'll be able to put some pretty handy links in the show notes post today's episode. How do people get in touch with Roomvo if they're going to, if they own a tile retail store in Australia? What's the process? Roomvo.com,
or you can just email me directly, ben@roomvo.com. I'd love to talk to you. But if you go to roomvo.com, there's a contact page. Just send us an email, and one of us, somebody will reach out and we'll connect, and we'll kind of work through what solution is going to work best for you and how best to kind of get you set up and get your products featured.
Nice. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll make sure that's in the show notes. Of course, we're not finished today, but I wanted to make sure that was a good segue into having that information there for anybody who wanted to explore that, which I think is important. So look, real estate, Roomvo's obviously already made some incredible headway with realestate.com.au, which again, huge milestone. So kudos to you guys for making that happen. And I think when we spoke last, is it about a year or so now that's happened? Yeah,
coming up on a year. We're not quite a year yet, but we're almost there.
The anniversary is about to happen. Are there any particular results or stats that you can share with our audience from the past 11 or 12 months that you've been engaged with the Australian market?
Yeah, sorry, I was mistaken. I was thinking of another partner. We're just over a year with
just over a year.
Australia. Yeah, so instantaneous fact check. Yeah, so in that year, in our first year of real estate Australia, we did 1.8 million virtual renovations, and about 1 in 4 users actually came on and were visualizing 4+ rooms.
Wow!
So they were quite engaged, spending quite a bit of time in the experience, actually playing around with what they can do in the space.
Mate, that's huge. So in just over 12 months, 1.8 million visualizations, design visualizations.
Yeah.
That's incredible. That's
just on the homeowners right now. So that's kind of where users can log in, claim a property as their own, and start reimagining it.
Wow. So there's clearly, a massive move and push in that direction to want to actually have a look at how tiles are going to be, how they're visualized in a home before any sort of purchasing is happening.
Yeah, definitely. The feedback is incredible. The users they're quite happy. They love the feature. They love being able to see the tiles, but see the tiles with other products. People may not only be putting down tiles, but they may be painting a wall at the same time, and they're going to want to see how those two different home decor products are going to interact and what the impact of changing multiple parts of their home could be. Tiles are, they're a pretty big piece of it, but there are other pieces of it, and bring that into one spot where users can play with these different product types and see how they interact and how they look together is quite an exciting feature, I think, that based on the responses that we've received.
Yeah. And look, let's be honest, we're all time challenged. I mean, today in an era of, digital connection, social connection, internet, I think now and I don't work, I work 7 days a week. So I'm not one of these people that gets excited about 5 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. I just get excited about the next day because it brings a whole plethora of possibilities. However, I still look at Saturday morning till Sunday afternoon, and the weekends fly by now compared to sort of 10, 15 years ago. Time seems to have sped up, and that is because of everything that's happening around us. So if you can find a way to do things quicker, faster, better, easier, and Roomvo Visualiser is a way to do it with, whether it's tiles, paint, and I'm sure that there's pretty much anything that you can do in terms of color and that sort of thing in a space. It's definitely going to be the way of the future. Well, it's the way of today, but it'll be a bigger part of the future.
I can't agree more. Just based on the story I told at the start of the show, I walked out of a tiling store after 6 hours, just out of being overwhelmed and exhaustion and not able to make a decision. So I would love to get those 6 hours back, and I don't think I'm going to be able to. However, we can help prevent other people from spending that many hours, that much time trying to visualize something that they're not necessarily they can't do. I can't do it. So I don't think I'm that unique in that respect. I think there's lots of people that struggle. So we can give them that time back by allowing them to see these products.
Ben, just getting into some of the closing questions I have for today, so we can really understand a lot more around Roomvo. Obviously, the Australian market has been a big target for the business, and when we had one of your colleagues on previously, we spoke very heavily about that, and the bit of time has passed, and you're obviously now with realestate.com.au. Do you have a specific strategy in play at the moment in the business for building partnerships with retailers and distributors here and real estate agencies? Is there any specifics that you can share with us that gives us a better understanding on what Roomvo is going to, how they're going to move forward?
Yeah, so it's really around real estate. Our customers our paying customers being the manufacturers, the home decor suppliers. They are looking for access to these platforms, and there's existing billboards or opportunities where they can have a still image or maybe a little video play on a loop of their products and what it might look like. But giving the ability for our customers' products to be engaged with in a very desirable way is a brand new billboard and a brand new medium for these products to be featured with a very captive and interested and invested audience. And so our strategy and kind of how we are going about this is really to provide our customers one of the best solutions that they can have to have their products visualized and have their products seen and have their products engaged with in a very unique and unprecedented way, which is directly in the real estate, directly in the home buying journey, in that home buying, home ownership journey, bringing their products to the audience in that way. And so really that's kind of our strategy is working with them to bring their products and make sure that we're helping both stakeholders in the entire equation as much as possible.
Ben, that's awesome. Love it. Look, let's just wrap it up now on this final question that I have now. Yeah, so we can get some more information and to put into the show notes so that people can stop listening to us and straight away get off the podcast episode and start, creating some magic. Are there any sort of upcoming features that you're working on at the moment you could possibly share with us that haven't dropped yet, that you're excited about, that Roomvo is getting involved with that might inspire, the next generation of people to digitally create their projects?
Yeah. And you kind of just alluded to it there. It's actually called Inspire. So imagine everybody's got their own style, their own home decor, their own preferences. But wouldn't it be great if you could start exploring alternatives and you could see what those alternative styles would look like with real products? So imagine being able to flip through a modern style of a kitchen and have alternative tiles and tile configurations and tile patterns placed in that space. You could see herringbone backsplash, or you could see a subway tile backsplash instantly and automatically populate it with the click of a button to really expose users to a variety of different configurations and different options for a space. So not only what they know, but this Inspire is really meant to do just that, inspire them as to what they could do. And we're quite excited about that and bringing those real tiles and having them instantly visualize as a user's engaging with the software.
Mate, that's awesome. Look, I'm pretty excited to share this with our community and let people know what Roomvo has been up to, mate. Like we like to sort of obviously ensure that our guests are connected in with the community and vice versa. Our community are very interactive and love to reach out and speak to our guests and or the businesses that they're representing. How does the Tiling Connect community connect in with Roomvo?
Yeah. Again, please just, you can email me directly, ben@roomvo.com. If you go to our website, you can also reach out there. Just let them know you're looking to talk to Ben or you're looking to talk to anyone else at the company. We'd love to help work with you. We'd love to help you. So please feel free. Drop us a line. We're always willing to help. That's what we want to do.
Awesome, mate. Well, thank you. And I'll ensure that in the show notes we put in there, obviously, the roomvo.com website address. And I will, I'm sure that you'll be able to share with me perhaps a couple of direct links for sites where people can go and maybe test the area. I know that people are generally pretty savvy, but if we can give them some links, maybe it'll get them there quicker and faster and they can have a bit of a play around with it, whether it be through realestate.com.au or perhaps to one of the stores at Beaumont Tiles that is currently promoting the visualiser as well, because I think that 1.8 million visualised project stats that you spoke about earlier is pretty phenomenal, and I think we can double that easily in the next 6 months.
That would be great. We'd love it. Thanks for having me, Mark. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Ben, you're very welcome, and mate, look, as we say it on every program, until next time, stay connected, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again in the near future.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Tiling Connect. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast. To see more of Tiling Connect, jump on our socials and follow us via LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. If you'd like to be part of the show, email us at tilingconnect@gmail.com. Until next time, stay connected.